Hello everyone, it's Hoberman from HaloHub, and today I want to discuss some of the tweets that have been going on from Max Hoberman from Certain Affinity, Snipe Down, and some other Halo content creators, Mimplets, and others about Trueskill and the knowledge of it, and basically how it works in Halo Infinite. So today we wanted to bring in Luey, the founder of HaloHub, who I think is the right person to discuss this with, as he has a master's degree in management of information technology and computer science. He has been around the Halo game a long time. A lot of knowledge behind all that. So please welcome in Luey.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation today because this is a really hot issue in Halo right now. There's a lot of confusion, misinformation out. So we want to kind of clear that up to encourage better conversations so we can provide better feedback as a community to 343 as to what we want and what needs to be improved and fixed.
All right, Luey. So today, let's start off with this first question. Let's go back to the basics. What is a ranking system, and what ranking system is used in Halo?
Okay, so one of the easiest ways to understand what a ranking system is to contrast it to a progression system. A progression system, they're in most games, almost every game. You earn XP for getting kills, for completing matches, for whatever action in the game, and you go up on a linear path. You unlock different tiers that may give you rewards. So that's a progression system. A ranking system, by contrast, the most notable difference is you can go up and down, right? Um, yes, you can have tiers as well, but generally a ranking system, by contrast, is designed to try and pinpoint your ability level as a player. And the better you are as a player, the higher you're going to be able to progress through that ranking system. You may have to improve quite a bit as a player to actually get to the highest echelons of play. Halo uses the Trueskill system, which is a proprietary ranking system developed by Microsoft over the course of the last 15 years. One of the more frustrating things we see on Twitter, on Reddit, is that people are assuming that 343, make this system overnight. This is quite complicated mathematics. There's a lot that goes into these systems, a lot of research. It's not like they can just strip the system that's in the game today and replace it even just 6 months or a year from now with something new. A simple way to put this is we are stuck with Trueskill. However, that's not a bad thing because Trueskill can be modified. So let's talk a little more about Trueskill. Trueskill first emerged in Halo 3. And the way that Trueskill works, or the way that Trueskill 1 worked in Halo 3, was it would make a prediction as to who's going to win a game beforehand. So let's take a situation where you have two teams, right? It's going to add up the skill of Team 1, and it's going to add up the skill of Team 2, and it's going to predict which team is going to win based upon which team has the highest skill and how different that skill is. And at the end of the game, it's going to basically compare the actual outcome to its expected outcome. And it's going to then adjust the different teams that participated's rating based upon the outcome versus the prediction. So simply put, you're only going to rank up by beating opponents that are as good or better than you. Beating an opponent who is a worse player, or a set of opponents that are worse than the collective skill of your team, is not actually going to allow you to rank up, or it's going to result in a very small increase in your rank. This also leads to some things that people don't understand with Trueskill. So, for example, you can win a game but still go down a rank because you didn't perform as well in that game as the system expected you to. Of course, as well, the more you surprise the system, the more it's going to impact your rank. So if you beat an opponent that is meant to be vastly better than you, then that's going to have a bigger impact on your rank than beating someone that's the same skill as you. So that's Trueskill 1. Trueskill 2 isn't actually fundamentally that different. Trueskill 2 is in Halo Infinite. It was also in Halo 5. It's not fundamentally that different from Trueskill 1. The biggest difference is it takes into account your kills, your assists, and your deaths. And it also takes into account whether you're matched up with a team, with a group of your friends, with a squad, as they call it. And it also takes into account quits. So let's just do that in reverse because it's quite simple. If you quit a game, Trueskill 2 punishes you vastly more than Trueskill 1 does. Also, if you're in a squad with Trueskill 2, it assumes that your squad, your friends, playing with your friends is going to create synergy. So simply put, if you play with a bunch of friends, it's going to try and match you against better opponents than the collective sum of your team's ability, because it's going to assume you're communicating, you're working together, maybe you have some chemistry, and it's going to take that into the mix as well. And then lastly, as I said, it takes into account individual performance, so kills, assists, and deaths. And this is probably where a lot of the problem lies with Trueskill 2, but we'll come to that a little bit later. So basically, what it does is it tries to help you get to your ideal rank, your ideal ability level sooner by seeing how you're performing as an individual in each match. So if you get a lot of kills, or a lot of kills per minute, because it looks at how long the game is, um, that's going to influence how much your rank's going to go up or down for wins and losses.
So, what do you perceive the problems to be with Trueskill 2 that are causing so many complaints?
Okay, yeah. So, and I'm sorry that that took so long before to explain what Trueskill is, but so Trueskill 2 has a couple of problems that we can really readily identify from complaints we're seeing on Twitter and Reddit and such like. The first one is it's causing ultra competitive games even in social playlists. Um, Secondly, there's definitely some issues with people not ranking up because they're playing the objective game, and that's not accounted for in the system, and that's something else we should discuss. Um, and thirdly, and this is the latest one that we've seen from Max Hoberman, which we'll get into in a bit, which is that the ranking system has no grindability. And that just basically means that you can get to the highest level too quickly, and there's no engagement for the player in actually working their way towards a goal.
100%. I can't wait to get to those questions with Max Hoberman. Those will be coming up later for everybody involved. And whoever's seen that on Twitter with him and other creators out there, don't worry. We're going to get to some of those questions. But yes, thank you for explaining that one. On to the next question. Do you think it should be included in social playlists?
Yeah, so this is one of the complaints we hear the most, that Trueskill is in the social playlist. This is a fact. We know this. 343 have confirmed this. Um, and it's causing people are telling us, people we're seeing on Twitter, they're telling us that it's causing matches to become too competitive, too sweaty. Um, there is a good reason for skill-based matchmaking in social playlists, and that is just to make sure that people match with people who are somewhat in the realm of their ability. However, um, the tolerances are just set way too tight, and it's matching people too well against their own ability. There's not a range of different skills in the game, um, and it's just making for games where nobody's really popping off and performing, nobody's really underperforming. There's no variety in the players. So yes, I think it should be included in social playlists. It has been for many years in Halo. Um, that's just to protect new players and to try and just make sure get matches are somewhat engaging. But they just need to tweak the tolerances down and just turn it down so it matches people with a wider selection of players.
Correct. Yeah, I know for sure when I even play some Halo, it's just like, man, this feels like a ranked game, and I'm supposed to be playing social. Like this is getting way too competitive here.
Absolutely.
All right. We saw that Trueskill 2 doesn't include objective scoring and is going to be looked at for Season 2 per 343 Industries. What do you think of this?
So yeah, this is clearly a big, big problem, and it is the number one problem I see with the ranking system. Um, Everybody knows you go into ranked, you find nobody wants to play objective, and a big part of that is because the system just doesn't even account for any objective actions. It doesn't really account for anything as I say outside of kills, deaths, and assists, or at least in the native form of the ranking system. This is obviously having an impact on and how people play the game because obviously they're not playing objective, but it's not rewarding people for certain actions, and it's encouraging people to just go and go off the stats and to just manipulates the way they play. I fundamentally disagree with 343's idea that they should add more pathways for ranking up with this system. I think they literally need to strip out individual performance and just make the game work on team-based performance because you could add dozens of pathways, hundreds even, and not account for every possible benefit that somebody could be doing for their team in a game. ultimately the thing that matters is the win. That's been the core of Halo for as long as the game has been around. So I think they should just, not even exert the energy in trying to add objective scoring, but just remove individual scoring altogether and go back to what worked with Trueskill 1 for Halo 3. It even worked in Halo Reach, and it's worked in other games as well.
No, I'm glad you said all that because now we're going into some of the juicier parts that have happened over the past week or so. We have seen a few tweets shared over the weekend and last couple weeks by Max Hoberman from Certain Affinity, and Max seems very upfront about the system. What is your take on this?
Yeah, so this is definitely the most interesting development in this whole story. So we can boil what Max Hoberman said down to just one simple concept, which is that the ranking system has no grindability, right? And this story is totally anecdotal, but they did the rank reset couple weeks back, a week and a half ago now, and it only took me a day to get back to Onyx. Um, go back to Halo 3, it took me a lot longer to get from level 1 to level 50, right? So there needs to be that grindability, and basically what Max said is that, first of all, to make it enjoyable and engaging for players, there needs to be something you work for over time. And right now, as he says in one of his tweets, one of the biggest flaws with the system is that it tries to get you to your ability level, as quickly as possible. So he actually talks about how with Halo 3's ranking system, which again was based upon Trueskill 1, he actually had to convince Xbox to allow him to add a new variable to the system, which is basically resistance to change, to try and slow down how quickly people progress through the ranks, even if they're really good, just to add that engagement there. The other point that Max makes, which is really, really important, is that there needs to be variety in your opponents. And again, this comes back to, we talked about how the tolerances are set too tight in social
Mm-hmm.
matches, but the same is with ranked. People are always in a game that's too sweaty, too competitive, because it's not matching them with people of widely different abilities within sort of say a bracket, right? It's always matching them too closely. So you never get that game where you're popping off, and you never get that frustrating game where you did badly. You're always just getting this game that's kind of the same. It's right in the middle of your ability range, and you don't get those opportunities to enjoy a diverse set of emotional roller coaster in terms of how you're performing. Um, so he makes very good points about what the problems are with Trueskill 2, and the good news is these are totally addressable. They just need to change some variables. It's not really the fault of the formula. It's just the fault of how 343 have implemented it.
100%. And it's encouraging to know that he was able to help push and bend it a little and gave us some of the best times in Halo 3, and that led to other games like you said Reach, and that having good matchmaking. And I think
Absolutely.
343 takes those lessons that they tried something different, it didn't work that great, let's try to tweak them a little and just make the experience more fun, not just everything has to be so quickly to this narrow window.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It should definitely not be the case that people are thinking that Trueskill 2, the Trueskill system is broken, right?
Mm.
This formula can be modified. It can be implemented differently. The key variables that go into how it works can be changed very easily, and it will yield a very different result and a very different experience for players. Um, as I say, so it's not a case that they can just throw this system out and put something else in. That's going to take a lot longer um, than anybody has the patience for, right? So the discussion should be, right, what are the issues? Well, we know this now. And how can 343 fix this as quickly and simply as possible? And honestly, I think the argument that we should all be making is let's look to the past. Let's look to what Max Hoberman did with Halo 3, and cut some of the fat from TrueSkill 2 that's not really needed, i.e., individual performance. And hey, we'll have a ranking system that achieves what people are looking for.
100% agree with that. I feel like this is good feedback, and now that Max has basically have put this out there, us as a community are more excited to be like, well, why don't we do this then? Why don't we tweak it? Let's. So now that I think that's what we need to start pushing as a community and keep pushing that out there. back to 343. Like, let's just tweak it. Like, don't even get rid of it. Let's just tweak it.
Definitely.
All right. Okay, let's do this. Let's get on to the next question. What other ranking system options are out there? Is there anything 343 can learn from other games?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of different ranking systems out there. The most famous is ELO or ELO, which was designed for chess, and it works very much the same as Trueskill, or at least the original Trueskill, right? That's used in Counter-Strike, among others. So obviously, it's very good for esports if it's in Counter-Strike. But fundamentally, as I say, there's not really any difference between ELO or ELO and Trueskill. Or at least the original Trueskill. As I say, this is why I argue that Trueskill 2 really doesn't need the individual performance element, because that's not in ELO or ELO, however you want to pronounce it. So that's the first thing there. Obviously, the other one we hear talked about a lot is Apex Legends ranking system, which technically speaking isn't so much a ranking system as it's kind of like a wager system where you give up some points to go into a match, and depending on how well you perform as a team and individually, you get points back. And whether that, is good enough to help you rank up is, dependent on your performance. Um, Apex Legends ranking system has a lot that we can learn from it. And there's two major things. Number one, people understand what's going on with their rank in Apex Legends really well. You can work out before even a match starts how many points, how many kills, what sort of place you need to get each match to be able to rank up. It's really clear to players. And there's a couple of books kicking around that talk about, what makes a good ranking system. And the number one rule is always that players need to understand what's going on. And that's one thing that Trueskill does a terrible job of. People just don't understand why they're going down for a win, or why haven't they gone up for a win, right? So that needs to be addressed with Trueskill. 343 need to implement something to the UI to give players better clarity as to what's going on. The other thing that Apex Legends does, which is just really interesting to me, um, and I've never seen this confirmed anywhere, but I've heard a lot of speculation about it, and if it is confirmed, I'd love to see it. But it does seem like the game takes some skill off you your first match of the day. So it assumes, and Mint Blitz made this point, is that the True Skill 2 system in Halo Reach, it assumes you're always going to be playing at the same ability level. You're always going to be playing at 100% your best skill level, right? And Apex Legends in your first game of the day, it knocks some skill points off, which is why, if you play that first game of the day, you're more likely to get a win because you're playing against slightly worse opponents. Your skill sort of decays over time behind the scenes. So maybe Halo needs to do that. And there's another tweet by Max Hoberman as well that just addresses that a little bit. And he says that Halo 3 system actually gave you your ability level, so your 1 to 50 skill level, at the bottom of your skill range. So you'd still be able to perform relatively well, even on your first game of the day, where maybe you're not, at 100%, your shots aren't all hitting, because it's going to assume you're the worst of all the possibilities of your performance, if that makes sense. So these are definitely things that could and maybe should be integrated or reintegrated into Trueskill 2 for Halo Infinite.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you brought in those other systems from other games because that really does show comparative, like what is going on with this game with Halo Infinite that we all love and want to succeed, and then what other games have done to kind of corral their grind and stuff. All right, our last question for today, Louis. What excites you the most for season 2 in Halo Infinite?
Okay, yeah, so this is the question everybody asks us. Is season 2 going to be good? What's coming in season 2? Obviously, we get a lot of information through the HaloHub. We're quite central in the community now. We've got quite a big following. We hear lots of things. We obviously don't want to share everything we know, because if it's not, based upon solid intel, we're not 100% sure of it, and we don't want to get anyone's hopes up. Um, I'm definitely just hoping for some new maps, especially for ranked. Maybe a few tweaks here and there. But honestly, I don't know everything that's coming, and I'm sure there's going to be some surprises. Some of the stuff we're hearing is really positive. But honestly, I can't even tell you what's going to be in the final build that comes out for season 2. But I am excited to see it. Um, so I'm in the same situation as everyone else, just with a few more rumors bouncing about.
Yeah, likewise, I'm super excited, which I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that won't admit it, but they're excited for season 2. see what comes
Definitely.
up, see what's available. That is all we have for today. Thank you, Louis, so much for taking time out of your day to answer some of these questions about Trueskill and everything at Halo Infinite. So we do appreciate it, and look forward to possibly another one in the future.